Let's open up the expenditure analysis. Here we have a list of payments we've made within the company, and we've got creditor, or you might call it supplier. You've got invoice date, invoice amount, what account you've put the expenditure to, and we've also got the month. So just go at the bottom here, and there's about 200 lines, that's fine. So just know that there's a little formula in there to put the month in, which will become useful when we come to do the unique formula table array. Normally, if you want to analyze how much you've spent per supplier or creditor, you would normally just go to insert, pivot table, make sure all the lines are in, okay, and the invoice amount, and there you get a very basic analysis of how much you've spent on each creditor. And then what you do, if you wanted to know how much by each month, you would just do the following. And there you go. It's great because it's really quick to put together, but you have to click on refresh every time there's a change to where you got the data from. And also, not only do you have to press refresh, but if you add something to the bottom of this, even if you click on refresh, it hasn't changed the amount. And what you have to do is you have to go to pivot table, change data source, and you've got to reintroduce that line that wasn't there before. And it's on there now. So to get around this, what you can do is create a unique table. So I'm just going to delete this now. Get rid of that line there. So the first thing is, so we've got the expenses tab, which we're going to use as the data sheet. I'm going to start a new tab. You can call this whatever you want. I'm just going to call this unique. So on the second row down, what you're going to do is start by listing the creditors. Asking for the array first of all. Scroll to the top. I'm just going to select all that. And go down a few extra lines as well, just in case you add more creditors or suppliers in the future. So you'll notice straight away that it's included all the current creditors, and it's included a blank line at the bottom. That's just in case you add another creditor or add to your table later on, which is great. But we want this in order, so you go to the top one, and we're just going to sort that. Great, so it's sorted all the suppliers out. Again, you've got your blank one at the bottom in case there's a new introduction to the table. And what you're going to do now, say you want the months across here. So again, start your unique formula. And this time the array is going to be the month. So again, scroll to the top. Don't include the very first row. And once you get to the bottom, just add a few more rows as well, in case you introduce more months later on. So first of all, you're going to go ahead and sort this. And also what we want to do is transpose it, because we want the months along the top. There we go. And then you've got the blank column at the end, and that's just in case you want to add more months later on. So how do we get the amounts in here? So you're going to use a Sumifs formula. The sum range will be the amount. The criteria for the sum range will be the creditor. and the criteria 1, go back to your unique or summary tab, whatever you've called it, and you want to just click on A2, the very first row of suppliers, and at the end of there you want to put a hash key. That just ensures that it includes all the creditors below it. The next criteria range, we want months, so we want all expenditure by supplier and then by the month. So go back to your data spreadsheet, click on the month, and for the criteria 2, go back to the unique and just click on the first month there and do the hash key. Close the brackets, and there's your data. I'm just going to tidy this up while I'm here. Great. So I've got all the expenditure by month and by supplier. So it's almost looking like a pivot table. However, the difference is what I'm going to show you now. If you go back to your data spreadsheet, if you want to change any of these, so say if you realize you've got one of the suppliers wrong, Create Support Limited is actually Zebra Paints Limited, and it wasn't £178,000, it was £179,000, and we're going to call this refurbishment. So once you go back to your summary tab, you can see it's added zebra paints along the bottom and the amount, which is great because you don't constantly have to be clicking on refresh. So what if you come to the start of the following month and you now have the previous month's data? So for example, this data goes all the way from April to October, and now you want to introduce November. So here's November's data. So you copy that into your table, copy your formula down, great, and watch what happens there. It's put month 11 in automatically, and again you've got another blank month in case you add a month 12. It's a bit fiddly to set up, but once it's set up, it's an auto refresh feature, which in my opinion is much superior to the normal pivot table you might use. Well, I hope that's been useful. If I've missed out anything from the video, or if you need to see any more videos like this, let me know in the comments section.